Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I am filming a running Q&A because I have wanted to do this for such a long time. As you guys will know if you watch my vlogs, I have an issue with the tendons or ligaments or something in my foot. So yes, I'm not back running, but I thought it doesn't stop me from talking about running. And so yeah, I basically wanted to talk you through my running story, but do it in the context of a Q&A, so I specifically answer your questions that you, as always, sent in on Instagram. So I'm just basically going to try and answer as many as possible.
Just gotta say that I'm not professional, I'm not trained, this is all just based on personal experiences.
So I'm gonna start with, when did you start running and why? Essentially, I've been running for such a long time. Honestly, I don't know exactly when I first went on a run, but I do remember it so vividly. It's such a striking memory. I literally don't have any records of this time, like no photos. I didn't write anything down. I didn't keep a diary. And obviously it was way before the YouTube days, so I just don't know when I first went on a run. But according to my calculations, I think it was like when I was 10 or 11 years old. So around like 2007, 2008. What I remember is basically I went on a 5-kilometer run. Okay, this was my first time I'd ever done any running, quite a long distance, and I remember it being so hard, so hard. I was like, wow, running is just the hardest thing. I went with my dad, and that was good because he like gave me motivation and he encouraged me. We did this route that my dad literally still does to this day. My dad has been running for such a long time, and I just remember one day being like, Dad, can I come on a run with you? And it was out of pure curiosity. There was nothing more to it. I can't remember what I was wearing, but I just remember these pink sparkly trainers that I had, and from that point onwards I did keep running. It wasn't very consistent at all at the start, so even though I did run quite early on, I didn't do it very consistently until I got to like my later years of secondary school, so in like year 10 and year 11 and then sixth form. So yeah, that's when I started running, and that's basically why I just wanted to go on a run with my dad, and because I wanted to see how it felt to run. Okay, this is another good question at the start of this Q&A. Can you describe your running evolution process? Okay, so leading on from what I said before, I did my first run in my pink sparkly trainers. I then did 2 cross-country races in primary school, and I remember that the first time I did it, it was the same course both times. The first time I did it, I came like 14th, and then the second time I did it, I came 7th. At primary school, I didn't do that much running. I'd run at like sports day and do those 2 cross-country events, but I did a lot of tag rugby. I was such a tag rugby enthusiast. It's so crazy to look back on. But then I went to secondary school, obviously, and that's when my passion for running started to grow, sort of thing. Another memory that stood out to me was in year 7, so the first year of secondary school, in our first PE lesson, and basically we were taken to this field where we did our lessons, and we were made in the first class to run a certain distance. I don't know how far it was, but it was a few laps around this field. I knew that I'd done some running, yes, but I was like, I'm not the best, and so I didn't anticipate winning. And I mean, I say winning because I am very competitive, and with a competitive mindset, I was like, you know, you've got to do well. I know it wasn't a race, but I did get the fastest time, and that led me to realize that, you know what, Holly, you're actually quite good at long distance running. You know, you can run quite far, you can run quite fast, and you're actually quite good at it. So growing up in secondary school, I'd always compete in the cross-country events. I never used to win any cross-country events, but I did used to enjoy them. Well, I mean, that is a bit questionable. I do remember mum coming to watch me every time, and I just have visions of me puffing and panting, running through like mud, and just seeing mum near the finish line being like, come on Holly, run faster, run faster. And I just remember glaring at her being like, I am in so much pain. But yeah, I think I enjoyed them. That's why I always did them. And then, as I said, when I came to like year 10, 11 and then sixth form, I started to run more regularly outside of school as well. So I do like 5 kilometers, and that is something I really want to stress because I've only very recently started to increase my distance, you know. So up until that point, I was running 5Ks. So yeah, I kept running, and then I went to university. I did a lot of dance, and I'd run occasionally. I'd run most often in exam season when there wasn't much dance going on. And it was only until like 3rd year exam season when I started to experiment with my distance, and I started to run further, just because I was bored of 5K, you know. I was bored of the same old distance and the same old route, and I was like, you know what, Holly, you've just got to start pushing yourself a bit. I signed up to the gym at home when I graduated and I was going to the gym a lot, so I didn't really run that much. And then when I went traveling to Australia, I used running as a means to explore places and see more and faster, and it was amazing. If you followed my travel vlogs or you've watched any of them, you may know what happened in Australia. We ran into a few problems, excuse the pun, but yeah, that happened. And anyway, traveling just reignited my love for running, and so I've come home. We kind of went into lockdown straight away, no gym, and so I naturally just did more running. And I also said to myself, I was like, you know what, I want to enter for a half marathon, so that is what I kind of wanted to train towards, but we all know that I now am injured, so yeah, that's basically a summary of my running evolution process. Okay, so now we're gonna answer questions that are a bit more quick fire. So do you prefer running in the morning or at night? So for the majority of my time that I've been running, so throughout my evolution process, I've been running in the afternoons and evenings, and it's only until recently when I flipped that and I run in the mornings. And I do think I prefer running in the morning, at least at the moment anyway. It might change. Can anyone become a runner? I think yes, that's one of the reasons why I love running, because anyone can like put on a pair of trainers and go on a run. Some people don't even wear trainers, you know, barefoot running. But I would say that if you do start to run longer distances and more regularly, then you do need to be stretching, rolling, and being mindful of the techniques that you're using when you're running, just to make sure that you don't get injured, you know. So whether that's to seek some advice or to watch some tutorials from professionals just to see how it should be done, because yes, anyone can run, but at the same time anyone can run and fall into the trap of getting an injury because they're not doing it correctly or they've run too far too soon, you know. So as I said before, I've literally been running 5Ks for the majority of the time that I've been running, and it's only a very recent thing that I've started to push myself to run faster and to run further. Okay, how to not be embarrassed of running in public as a beginner. You literally just have to be in your own zone and just ignore the other people around you. I mean, most people are not even looking at you when you're running. You do often think that other people are just staring at you when they're not. They're genuinely just going about their day and you're on your run. So try not to just overthink that. And also, one thing I do love about running is, even though you are often solitary when you're running, or you might be running with someone else, but when you pass another runner whilst you're, you know, out and about, there's always a really like mutual interaction. Like you'll either smile or you'll say hi or you'll wave. I honestly live for those interactions because sometimes it's a bit awkward, but I just live for them because it gives you so much more motivation. You're like, oh my gosh, there's someone else doing the same thing as me. Those are the things to look out for. Okay, favorite distance. This is so random, but I think my favorite distance is like 8 kilometers. I don't know why, that was the distance I'd do most often before I got injured. What's your half marathon goal time? So I've said this before, and I think this is over ambitious. I've said like 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40. I think the latter, so 1 hour 40 is more realistic. I will be very happy with anything under 1 hour 40, and obviously I still have training to do. I'm not running at that speed yet for that distance, but 1 hour 30, oh, is that even possible? I don't even know, but I feel like that's so ambitious. Okay, how do you track your running? Any good recommendations? So I don't religiously track my runs, okay? Yes, I do wear an Apple Watch when I'm running, as I'll show you guys. Where is it? Little show and tell. You guys know this is my Apple Watch. I wear it when I run, and yes, it tracks things like distance, speed, cadence, heart rate. I don't really look back through my history to analyze trends and stuff, but I do think the Apple Watch is good. It seems pretty accurate, and if I do start to like properly train for a half marathon, then maybe I will start looking at the data and stuff. But at the moment I don't. I look at it maybe after a run and I'm like, oh, my heart rate was sky high today, or another day it might be really low, and I'll be like, great, I wasn't alive when I was running apparently. You can obviously use this to track other things other than running, but I use it for running. Furthest distance, so my furthest was 18 point something. I did film it. It was a day in the life vlog, and I was just so happy. It was just such a good feeling to finish. What running socks do I wear? This is an interesting question. So I just literally wear normal trainer socks, black, bog standard trainer socks. Kind of like these, but these are ankle socks, you know, it's just trainer socks. I wear those, and I've never gotten blisters from running. Maybe it's because my running shoes fit really well, which they do, they're really comfortable, but yeah, I don't get blisters. So yeah, I can't really help out with that one. But yeah, I feel like with running, everyone gets like individual or unique pains and stuff like this. So I sometimes get stitches here in like my collarbone and here sort of thing. It's really weird. What should we answer next? Okay, what are your current PBs for 5K, 10K, etc.? So I've never run and officially timed myself, because I'm always just so scared, and because I put a lot of pressure on myself, I'm like, if I don't feel up to the run today, I won't perform my best. And it won't be like a personal best that I'm happy with. But anyways, for 5k, 23 minutes is like my fastest. I would love to get a sub 20-minute 5k, but that's so hard. You have to train for that. And it was something I was gonna try and do just before I got injured. And for 10k on the roads, it's like around 49-50 minutes, I think. But I know I can run faster than that if I was running for a PB sort of thing. How do you deal with stitches? So I can't remember the last time I got a stitch. Actually, I can. It was when I ran too soon after eating. And so the first piece of advice is don't run immediately after you've eaten food. Leave at least 1.5 to 2 hours. It depends from person to person, but 2 hours is kind of like a good amount of time to have allowed your food to digest and you won't get a stitch. With me, with stitches, you often just have to run through it and keep breathing through it and it will eventually go away. Have you ever been to a park run? No, I haven't ever done a park run, but I was speaking to someone recently about park run and I think I am going to do a park run at some point. I know you're a dancer, so stretching comes easy to you, but is stretching really needed? Yes, 100% yes. So stretching before, I don't think it's as important as stretching afterwards. So stretching before a run, I do dynamic stretching and I only do it if I'm doing like a longish run. And I started doing it recently just because I was, I don't know, running more often and I just thought I should do some stretching before. But stretching afterwards, on the other hand, is so essential. I've just heard really bad stories about people that have never stretched after they've run or even just worked out in general. And they've reached a point when they're just so stiff and they've gotten an injury because they don't stretch out their muscles afterwards. So yeah, I just cannot stress the importance of stretching. Please stretch out your muscles after every single workout, not even just a run, just every workout, okay? And so yeah, that is all in my running routine video. I will put that in the description box and link it in a card. But yeah, I show you all the stretches I do before and after and everything. How do you transport your phone and keys when you don't have pockets? So I have this bum bag. I should get it for the show and tell. 1 second. This is my headband. I don't know why we brought that as well, but this is my bum bag. I don't know where this came from. I somehow landed myself this bum bag from somewhere. It's not really like a bum bag, it's like a pouch. We're a kangaroo when we wear this. It just kind of sticks to the front of me. It's not too bulky. It naturally sits just above my hips and it bounces around quite a lot, which is annoying, but it's the only thing that I have that works well at the moment. You can get little rucksacks, but I put my phone, my keys in here, and sometimes my GoPro if I'm vlogging and running. So yeah, I'm really sorry I can't help you out with where this came from. It says Go on it, if that is of any use to you. In Australia though, I did use my bigger bum bag and that seemed to work. I just had to strap it really tightly around my waist and that seemed to stop it moving quite a lot, but it is a bit annoying sometimes. Is running on a treadmill too different from running in real roads? Okay, so road versus treadmill running, basically this question is asking. Yes, they are very different. That's not to say that one is better than the other, but running on roads is a lot harder than running on a treadmill. When I was going to the gym a lot before lockdown and before I went traveling in 2019, and that was when I was trying to work on like speed, because you can do a lot of speed and interval training on a treadmill. That's what it's good for. And when I was running like 10Ks, I was getting such fast times. My camera roll is just such a mess. Let me try and find it. I took pictures of them because I was so proud, but it's just nowhere near the time that it takes me to run 10k on a road. Oh my gosh, this is when I regret taking a million pictures of one thing. Okay, I think this is my best time. It's 38 minutes 28 seconds, and as I said, I run 10ks on roads in like 49-50 minutes, so there is quite a big difference there. The way to make running on a treadmill more representative of running on a road is to increase the incline a bit. I did do that for those runs. I remember I was literally sprinting for like the whole time uphill slightly, and it was so hard and so intense. So yeah, they are different, but as I said, you can use both of them to help you run and to help you train sort of thing. But if you are like gonna do a marathon, then you are going to be running it on the road, so you may as well get used to running on roads. How fast do you usually run? So I usually run, and I mean it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm having a good day and I'm running a lot faster. Other days, just not really feeling it. But I usually run at just over 5 minutes per kilometer, like 5 minutes 13 seconds or something. I always see that on my watch, and that's for like my 7 or 8 kilometers. As I said, those are my favorite distances. That's what I do most often, or that's what I did before injury. But you know, if I'm say running a shorter distance like 5k, I'll be running a bit faster the whole time because it's a shorter run. But as I said, overall it depends on the day. You know, it really does. Tips on how to get faster. So I've recently been increasing my distance, and I've also been trying to run faster as well. So for me, as I said before, I was doing quite a bit of interval training and sprint training on treadmills, and that really helped me. Another thing is spinning on my spin bike. I think that's helped me so much. I like fell in love with spin last year. In the spin class, you're constantly sprinting and then you're climbing. You're training your muscles to quickly increase the pace if you're getting into a sprint. It's basically like HIIT on a bike, and it really did help me because I'd then do a run and I'd find myself sprinting a lot more, and I'd find it easier to get into a faster pace and a faster rhythm. So spin biking and spinning, honestly, it's so good. I have also recently started to do interval training on road sort of thing, and that entailed like running at a faster pace for like 5 minutes and then recovering for the next 5 minutes, and I'd repeat that like 3 times, and that was like my interval kind of session. Go to Prerun snack. You guys know it if you've watched my videos where I go on a run. It's a date. 3 dates actually. 3 big fat juicy medjool dates. I think they're just so great because they're concentrated bursts of energy. Drive through in general, I just think works well because it's a concentrated burst of energy, but it's not got too much fiber, so you're not going to get a stitch. That's my only date I've been on. That's such a bad joke. Foods to eat before/after. So okay, at the moment I have been running fasted, so I wake up in the morning and I will eat breakfast when I get back from a run, and that works really well for me because I never get a stitch on those runs, and I also just feel really energized when I do that. It's weird. I know this is not for everyone, and that's why running is so personalized. Whether you enjoy running in the morning or in the afternoon, after you've eaten something, after you've eaten a specific food, is very individual. What works for me won't work for you. I do this every day anyway, but you would technically say I carb load in the evening. So I just fuel up and refuel my glycogen stores so that I do have enough energy for the run. But if I did eat something before a long run, I would eat overnight oats, and I found that worked really well for me. Then after a run, I don't even know. It's just whatever I feel. Normally in the mornings, it would be like a big smoothie with some like protein powder, sometimes lots of bananas, lots of fruit. Hydrating foods, basically, that's what I crave in the mornings and after a run in particular. But if I went a bit later on in the day, afterwards, it really just depends. My hunger is just all over the place. I just eat what I see and what I feel like. Okay, how do you start running if you've never done it before? So I would say 2 things. The first thing I would say is just run a very short distance, just around your block or something, or 1 kilometer, because as I said, you don't want to run too far too soon because you might get injured, and it's good if you can enjoy the whole run. It's not going to be easy if you've never run before. Therefore, if you just go on a short run, then hopefully you'll come back and you'll be like, you know, that was hard, but it hasn't put you off entirely. And then secondly, I would say try and run with someone. Have a little running buddy to go with you, because as I said, my first run, I did it with Dad, and it made it so much easier. Do you ever run with your family, including Bali and Java? So I like this question. I like this question. In the past, I used to run all the time with Emily. Emily and I would go on runs all the time, but then Emily went to university, obviously, and my running buddy kind of became Dad, so we'd go on a lot of runs together. I then started going on more runs, and I went on runs at different times, and so I just naturally found myself running as a solitary individual. So yeah, I mostly now run on my own. In fact, I literally can't remember the last time I ran with someone, so it hasn't been recently. Then what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then Bali and Java. No, I've never run with Bali and Java just because they're so crazy and hyper. I would be so scared that they would just pull me over. I would definitely not run with both of them at the start. If I did like canicross with them, which is what you call it when you run with a dog, I would take one of them at a time. But I did used to do canicross with Star. Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever, like running with a dog. I don't think Star enjoyed it at all. She used to literally be like, oh my gosh. But I kind of convinced myself that she did enjoy running with me, so we did do canicross occasionally. But yeah, maybe one day I'll do canicross with Bali and Java, and we'll see how that goes. I'll end up face planting into a thorn bush or something, you know. Okay, what do you listen to while running? So I listen to music and podcasts. It depends on how I'm feeling, but if I'm doing a longer run, it will be podcasts. With music, I just get bored, whereas with a podcast, I'm just so much more engaged. And even if I'm not taking in what the people on the podcast are saying, it's really great, I find, to just have voices in my head, you know. I don't know, it just keeps me distracted. Not to say that I'm not focused on the roads and where I'm going, because I'm very mindful of making sure I know what's going on around me, but it does really just help me. Okay, this next question just says shoes question mark. So I've always run in Nike shoes. I know Nike as a brand, or Nike, which one is it? Nike or Nike? I know Nike is not a sustainable brand at all, and I am trying to look for more sustainable activewear brands, but I just do love Nike leggings and Nike trainers and sports bras and stuff. So yeah, my trainers right now are the Nike Zoom Pegasus 34s, the black ones. They are so good, so comfortable. I love them. They're like trainers that work for my feet, but I am open to exploring others in the future. How do you run such long distances? As I said, I've only recently started running longer distances, and how I did it was I basically started to listen to podcasts. Podcasts were the key because, as I said before, they just take my mind off the fact that I'm running. Sometimes I start by listening to music that gets me kind of pumped, but then when I get bored of music, I'll swap to a podcast. Okay, how do you motivate yourself to run on cold days? This isn't really applicable now, but I find that even though it's harder to get out of the door when it's colder because it's just cold and your body's like, no, I don't want to go outside, I would 100% run in a cold climate over a hot climate any day, because I just find that I run faster because I'm trying to warm up my body. My fingers are cold, my feet are cold, my bum is numb. It feels like it's just frozen. And so I'm just like, you know, gotta get round, gotta run, gotta heat up the body. So yeah, it's harder to get out of the door, but I run faster when it's colder. I've been talking for such a long time, I always overdo it with the Q&As. I do love running, and yes, I do miss it right now, but everyone needs to take a break from time to time. Hopefully when I get back to running, if my foot is okay, it will be like a refreshing restart, you know? But yeah, that's like my running Q&A. As I said, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was useful. I am not a professional. I am not trained. This is just based on my personal experiences. Click the thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below if you have any more questions or things you'd like to see related to running when I'm back running. And yeah, there is somebody staring up at my window. One of the builders. What are they doing? Hello? Right, yeah, and if you want to stick around, you can subscribe. But yeah, I will speak to you very soon in another video. As always, bye! Speak to you soon, my friends. Okay, I just stood up and the person is still staring into my window.